Well, hello and welcome. We are the Shills, a group of YouTube creators and debunkers coming together for live roundtable chats, live debunks, guests, interviews, and more. And tonight, joining us, we have the Barry White of debunkers. Oh yeah, we have the man himself, the amazing Blue Marble Science. And our second guest tonight is a guy dealing with a real identity crisis in his YouTube life. Exactly. We have we have End the Conspiracy on the show as well. Now, lined up tonight, we have A Plain Truth for You YouTube channel with a video entitled California Was an Island Up Until the 19th Century. And we have the Lost History channel with their video, It's Only Strange Because We Have Been Told Lies. This should be some damn good fun indeed. So, let me pass this off to a guy whose pet cat has now stepped into the debunking ring and caused quite a stir with his grace, style, and ease. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's the man who feeds Mr. Jimbells. It's Jimbojo.
Thank you very much indeed, Dick Dawson. And it's a very good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are. I'm Jimbojo. You're watching the Silly Shill Show, and we are the Shells. Hello, welcome once again to our secret underground Shill base. It's a pleasure to see you all here again. We've got some old faces in the chat and a few new ones too, so thank you all for coming. You guys really make the show what it is. We've got a great show today, as Dick so excellently explained, with your usual mix of crazy conspiracy theorists, our star-studded panel, and a couple of very special guests indeed. First of all, as ever, I'll be going around our panel to say hello to each of them and find out what they've been up to this week. First up, it's Dick Dawson. Hello, mate. How are you doing? What have you been up to this week?
Oh, things are great on this side of the world, Jimbojo, and how about over on yours?
Well, they're foggy and cold, but that's more than I could expect, really. So, what have you been up to this week? Got anything interesting you out?
Yes, along with the midweek update, a little test show we did that went over well on World Model Feud, we're going to be bringing out the proper weekend update as well. And we've got some progress coming along on doing the game show live, so definitely watch this space. We got some cool stuff coming up.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing that immensely. And everyone out in the chat, don't forget, if you've got any comments or questions today, at Kiri or at the Shills, I should say, and she'll make sure that all of that gets through to us now. You can ask us anything. You can ask our guests anything. Right, moving next on, we've got Anti-Flatter. Hello, buddy. How are you doing in the future?
Hey, mate. We were doing all good here, man.
Brilliant stuff. Have you been up to anything this week? I think you had a video out very recently. I enjoyed quite a lot. What was that about?
Yeah, that one came out... Oh, shit, a couple of weeks now. I can't remember when I put that one out now, but there's the Ancient Aliens piss take.
That's right. Oh man, that was genius. I mean, I don't know where you came up with the idea, but you hadn't been on YouTube for a little while. Life, family, all that stuff had got in the way, and then bang, straight into it. He's back again with some absolute crazy. That was amazing. Anything else you want to chill out for quickly?
No, I mean, I've done that, and other than that, I've just been on Twitter showcasing some of the amazing food that we have here in New Zealand.
Oh,
and
that's
everyone's
right.
been enjoying it, of course.
Yeah. Well, you've been undergoing some Twitter war at the moment. We've been having a bit of a fight with some flat earthers. It's been absolutely hilarious.
Maybe mate, later that one's been brilliant.
Oh, hasn't it just a long
it's like 3 days now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a blast. Right, I better move on. Sorry, AB Science. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you very much.
Oh, quite welcome. Now, what have you got coming out in the near future? I've seen you've had a couple of bits out recently as well. What have you got to shill for?
Well, I'm just carrying on with a series of videos where we explore different concepts in science, generally about the process that we follow. I've been recording something else today where I actually take some real experimental data from an old thing I've been I worked on a few years ago, and I'll be taking the viewer through how we actually look at the data and how we analyze it. So if you're really nerdy, check out my channel. It should be out sometimes next week.
Oh, wow. That sounds fantastic. I shall be straight over there, power nerding it straight away. I think I can recommend to everyone to be getting over there as well. Sarcastic Barman. Hello, Squire. How's the pub trade doing this week?
It's not too bad, thank you, Jim. It's been a lovely sunny day. I got to sit out in the garden for a bit, do some pizzas with a little pizza stream, so that was a bit of fun until YouTube decided it hated my internet again.
Yeah, not fair. I was enjoying your little pizza stream. It does seem to, doesn't it? Still, we'll get there in the end. Now, what have you got to shill for this week?
Nothing this week. A couple of episodes coming out next week. My no swearing video went well the other night. Well, last night now. I'm so losing track of days. But we're going to release 2 versions of next week's video. One swearing free and one swearing to the fucking hilts. So yeah, that'll be a bit of fun.
Well, I look forward to both of those. That should be exciting. Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey. Oi, oi, how you doing,
Oi,
mate?
fucking oi!
Oi, fucking oi. How are you?
Sound as a pound. I'm fucking here again.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm excited to see you, man. You got anything you want to tell the nice boys and girls at home about?
No, I think you've seen it all. You know, we had the little Pratt thing, didn't we? And then a little Pratt reply. I mirrored a Babe's Troglodyte idiot report. Because we don't always get to see him, do we? You know, sometimes we can't hear him. So I went over to watch the ones I'd missed, and I thought, fucking hell, man, these are even better when you just sit and watch them on the channel, you know, because you can really watch it, pay attention. I thought, fuck this, man, she needs more subs. So I mirrored that fucker, didn't I?
Nice. Well, that's amazing of you, man. I noticed that you'd mirrored that one. I thought that was interesting because you're right. It occurred to me when I was watching it. We don't often see these outside of when they're on the show. We don't even always get to watch them when they're on the show. So, yeah, more power to you, man. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's see. Steven Caparison, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, Jimbo?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How's life over there in the future? You and Anti-Flat, we got 2 time travelers now.
Yeah, you betcha. Everything's going great up here. And yeah, looking forward to today's show. It's going to be fantastic. Big fan of the Blue Marble.
Oh, excellent stuff. Well, look, I saw that you did a Friday Night Mega Mirror. I wondered if there's any stuff you've got out and about at the moment you wanted to tell people about.
At the moment, no. The Mega Mirror was really good. Lots of great interaction. The guest was BM Furball. Hope everybody had a chance to catch up on that. And Logical and I have been hard at work on the next edition of the of Logic and Reason show. And I'll let him fill you in on what that's all about.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Well, that's good timing because next on my list happens to be the logical troglodyte himself. How's life in Cave Town, sir?
Oh, it's busy as usual, sir.
Oh, yeah, I bet it is. So what have you been up to then? I know you've got some Logic and Reason coming out. That looks pretty exciting. I saw a little sneaky peek there.
Yes, and we are blown away by the support and all of the viewers' praise that we've gotten so far on episode 1, so we are working diligently to improve it yet again with episode 2. We will be discussing the conspiracy theorist claim math is not real. Returning with us will be the champion of Aries, AT2 Productions, and and Vulcan, the god of the Forge, will be sending us Mike the Engineer to discuss this with us.
Oh, brilliant. Well, both of those guys are epic. But for people who don't know, you can catch them both on the AT2 Productions weekly veteran talks as well most weeks. So, yeah, no, that's going to be, genius. Thanks very much indeed for that. Right, I think last on the list for the moment, we've got DeadKennedyInSpace. You've been living in another galaxy, so God knows whether or not that's the future or the past, because you get here at greater than light speed. I don't know, maybe you get here before you're born or something. How's it going, mate?
What is time really? I mean, I never know. I never know when it is anymore. I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing just dandy, sir. I think you've had a couple of bits out and about because I've seen 1 or 2 of them. Have you got anything you want to shill for this week?
I've had a couple new videos out that aren't too heavy as far as substance goes, but maybe worth a watch. But I've got lots of stuff upcoming. Especially a potential 3K celebration because I recently hit 3K subscribers, and thank you very much to everyone for that.
Oh, absolutely. That was big news indeed. Congratulations, sir. Right, well, twiddling the buttons and swearing at the OBS will be our man with the giant remote control himself, Mr. Tatty Vogel. How are you doing, sir? Is there anything you would like to update us on today?
Hello. Yeah,
hello,
I'll
mate,
definitely be swearing at the OBS, don't you worry about that. Just a wee update. I've actually penned a wee tune, if you don't mind.
Oh, I say.
Yeah, I'll give you a wee preview now, and I apologise in advance for the singing.
Okay, mate, no problem.
And here it comes. It goes, they bullshit here, they bullshit there, they make the claim, Earth's not a sphere, always moving goalposts and declaring fallacies. They are all dumb as fuck proponents of the flat Earth. And when they wear their tinfoil hats, it turns them into fucking twats, denying everything from space and the moon to gravity. They are all dumb as fuck proponents of the flat Earth.
Fucking
What's that
brilliant.
song?
No.
That is, I know that, don't I? Have you taken the tune from something?
Fuck, that was cool.
I may have murdered the
That was
tune
really
from
cool.
Dedicated Follower of Fashion.
That's it!
That's it.
Genius! Oh,
That
mate, that's
certainly was
classic.
me
I love
following the
it.
tune.
Absolutely
Canadian
love it.
Thomas has got some competition there.
Oh, dear. It's war. Right, marvellous stuff. All right, well, look, thank you very much indeed for that, Tat. It was look forward to seeing that coming out very soon. Right, now, of course, answering your comments and making us all seem like we know what we're actually doing, it's the wonderful Kiri Mac. Hello, Kiri. Have you got anything in the way of electronic telegraphy or just plain old carrier pigeon swooping in with something to say yet?
Hey, we're just all saying hi, getting warmed up for the
Hey.
show. Bert Rickles says that Blue Marble Science rocks, by the way. He needs more subs. And I'd just like to mention that we've just passed 800 subs. So thank you very much, everyone. Whoop, whoop. Let's
All
get to
right.
1,000.
That's amazing. Brilliant stuff. Actually, could I just say, Bert Rickles, I think he deserves a few more subs as well. We gave him a little shill on the last show. I think we should give him another little one now. You're absolutely right, of course. Everyone on the panel here needs a few more subs, but go and have a look at Bert Rickles too. Right, let's see. Don't forget to those listening in, if you have any comments or questions, at the Shills to get it to Kiri, and she'll get them read out to us, either to us, the guest, the public in general, whatever. So get tapping away. We'd love to hear from you. So, as ever, I'm Jimbojo. I talk to people. I've got a few bits and bobs coming out in the next few days, so hopefully keep your eyes peeled, and I'll be with you in no time. Now, that's the panel. It's time to talk to our special guests. First up, a man who needs very little introduction, really, but for those who don't know, he's one of the funniest creators to come out this year. Dr. Bob was kind enough to bring him to my attention, many others as well, as far as I can tell, which is high praise indeed. His friend Gladys usually helps out too. Make sure you get your questions to us so that we can get him to him. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, I'll get right on it. But let's just say one more thing. Let's light this dumpster fire and have some fun. It's Blue Marble Science. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, you are very welcome. I think we're all doing pretty good. How about you guys? You enjoying the show so far?
Oh, yeah.
That's a big, exciting whoop of joy. Right, anyway, let me get on to this. Basically, if people watching don't know who you are, which seems unlikely, but there you go. Could you give us in a nutshell sort of who it is that you are and roughly what you do?
Oh, Blue Marble is simply a channel that I started for no good reason whatsoever, other than I had a lot of time on my hands, and I ran across this this crazy concept that the Earth was flat, and I thought I could sort that out pretty quick, and it turns out I was wrong.
It's virulent, I'll give you that.
So
Oh,
I started the channel 6 or 8 months ago, and since then I've just been doing debunking videos primarily.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely. Well, I've been enjoying them. Sorry, do go on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a few more out, and hopefully I'll have a couple out this week. I've banned myself from watching flat Earth channels, only because every time I watch them, it causes me to stop and start another damn video, which means I never finish one. I've just got a whole bunch of them halfway done.
I know what you mean. I've got half a dozen written scripts at home. Absolutely with you there.
That's pretty much it, though.
Oh, well, that's brilliant stuff. Well, okay, so my next question is usually, how long have you done what you do and what made you start? And you sort of answered that pretty eloquently already. I would just like to press you a little further on the question of what it is that really triggered you to start making the videos. I mean, you say you had a video you weren't doing anything with, and then when you saw Flat Earth, you thought you'd sort it out. But was there a person or a sort of a thing you saw in particular that made you think, Jesus wept, I've really got to do something about this? There's a lot of stupid about.
I think the thing that probably triggered me the most was two things. First of all, watching Nathan Oakley.
Oh
that
God, yeah.
that without a doubt was probably enough in itself. But then I just saw quite a number of the really nice, really good debunking channels too, and I thought, well, maybe I could add a little flavor to this in a slightly different direction.
Oh, nice. I've got you. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, well, this is what I'd say is you've got this sort of beautiful collection. If you've got the science, you've got the facts, but you describe it in a very sort of a way that the average layman could understand. And you've got this fantastic sort of sardonic wit about the way that you go about it. Completely uncompromising, but also not harsh, just sort of mildly savage, if you can sort of understand what I mean. Now, look, what is it that you see the community doing sort of as the future goes on? Because we've been talking about this a lot lately. Let's face it, Flat Earth's nearly dead. So have you got any plans for the future of your channel and what you think the community around the Flat Earth movement is going to end up doing?
Well, I've thought quite a bit about that, and I agree with you guys. I think their arguments are so stale at this point. I mean, they're all they're doing is just parroting the same old tired stuff. Of course, you always have Anthony Riley. That's the gift that keeps on giving. Any day of the week, Anthony's going to say something just so totally stupid you can make a whole show out of it.
Tell me about it.
Beyond beyond the flat Earth part of it, I think I may shift gears a bit and look more into some of the conspiracy nuts. One of the things that just drives me completely crazy is this total denial of the space program, which makes no frigging sense whatsoever. And I think maybe that's the next logical step for me, if there is a logical step. But
well, it's funny. I mentioned it earlier. Anti-Flatter and I have been engaged in a Twitter war recently that's been lasting about 3 days now. It has genuinely become quite epic, and I normally avoid this sort of thing, but it has largely centered around this denial of space, and it's breathtaking how many different individual pieces of evidence can be denied just by going, nah, it's fake, it's CGI. Like there's so much of it, for God's sake. We've been doing it for 50 years. There's a lot of metal up there at this point. Right, sorry, I'm beginning to waffle on now, and especially if we've got another guest to introduce. I just want to remind the audience, though, if you've got any comments or questions for the guests for the panel, then get them to at the Shills, and Kiri's going to read them out for us. I'm just going to stop off with her now and double check if there's anything coming in already. Well, that's a big bit of silence.
I'm
Kiri
sorry.
Mac.
There was
Hey
that
there.
button again. Oh, it's going to happen at least once a month, right? Gosh.
Look at it. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, just a couple. Christ Puncher says that Blue Marble Science is clearly CGI, aren't we all? And Wolfgang says Shillette, the best a man can get. So, okay.
I love it, Wolfgang. That's a good one.
What a gag. All right, brilliant. All right, well, look, thank you very much indeed for that then, Kiri. I'm going to go straight on to our second special guest now. He's a long-time friend of the show, someone who we actually even had a special show about his trials and tribulations that he'd been enduring at the hands of Call for an Uprising. He's got a live stream that runs pretty much directly after our show every Saturday, so I hope you've been checking him out already. But for those of you who haven't, he's the creator of Dwarven Hammer himself. It's End the Conspiracy. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good today. Pretty good. Thank you very much. Now, first of all, I'll do the usual thing. Have you got anything that you'd like to shill out for? Any work or material that you've got out that you think people should know about?
Well, I just released my Dwarven Hammer video on Simon Dan this morning, so that one just came out.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's epic. Yeah, no, everyone needs to see that. Anything else coming? Obviously, you've got a show tonight.
Well, I do have a show tonight, but it's going to be a late one. It's going to be about midnight Eastern time, so like 5 in the morning for you Brits and whatnot, and whatever. It's just a late night one. Other than that, just sometime here shortly, my video for Truth Is Not a Hoax on the Oklahoma City bombing will be coming out.
Well, I was going to ask you a little bit about that because obviously first question on the list, you know it, I've asked it before. Who are you and what do you do? Can you give yourself in a nutshell for people listening just in case they haven't heard?
Well, I'm Jay. I run the channel In the Conspiracy. Like Jimbojo said earlier, I do streams on Saturdays and conspiracy videos and anti-conspiracy videos.
Sure.
Working on my Dwarven Hammer and Tony Hammer videos. Those are a real big hit, so lots of fun. I do have a special video I'm still working on, trying to get things out for Miss Kristen Frost laser beams and her troll attack from Mr. Tyler Durden. That should be coming out here really shortly. That's on my Weighed, Measured, and Found Wanting series, where I go after the trolls themselves. So.
Love it. Oh, well, look, that sounds brilliant. That's pretty awesome. I mean, look, you and Jut have got this channel running at the moment, which is The Truth Is Not a Hoax. Now, I don't know how many videos you've got on exactly at the moment. Perhaps you can update me.
Well, right now we just got the 2 introductory trailers.
Okay, cool.
And one for Jut. We should have a trailer coming out here shortly with.
That's right.
Brilliant.
With the little short trailers for the videos coming out here shortly. So once that drops, then I'll get my actual video dropping out.
Okay, lovely stuff.
I'm hoping
Brilliant.
to put that out actually tomorrow.
Oh,
evening,
look at that.
one. So,
Amazing.
but as
All right,
you
well,
know,
look, I've actually...
both Jay and I have been extremely busy.
Yeah.
Okay, now, look, just super quickly, I've been told that there's a question in the chat that DeadKennedyInSpace has got, so perhaps I can introduce him now.
Oh, it wasn't a question from the chat. It was a question for myself.
Okay, sorry.
You mentioned your Weighed, Measured, and Found Wanting series, and I was wondering, had you heard that that Campbell Man Smith is gone?
No, I hadn't heard that.
Oh yeah, his account's gone. We all collectively, I think, got rid of him. So thank you for your part in that.
Oh, not a problem, man. That would, yeah, sweet. Yeah, I'm glad that. Yeah, I don't want to step on Duck, but I'm glad that fuckwit is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame you. What a bloody nightmare that he was. Now, look, we've had you on the show before, and we've run you through all the questions about, what was it that made you want to start in the beginning, and you told us sort of the history. So this time, what I want to ask you, because I didn't get to last time, is what you think the future of the community is, bearing in mind that we can see, Flat Earth dying on its arse and a few of the other silly claims getting given a pretty good pounding right now. I'm wondering where you see things going with your channel and the rest of the community in the future.
Well, I see a lot of flat Earth debunkers moving into the other conspiracies, and if we can just start hacking them out one at a time, I think that's going to be great. I mean, like I said, that's basically what my channel is to help end these stupid ass conspiracies like anti-vax and moon hoax and stuff like that.
Ah, brilliant stuff. Well, look, okay, that's a bit more useful information. I hope we're not overloading the audience right now, but don't forget, you can always come back and go through it all. The whole point of the show is to give you information on the new stuff that's coming out, and we think End the Conspiracy is doing some brilliant stuff, particularly with Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey, our very own, because, they're doing something serious, which has some genuine value, right? Now, let's see where we are in the list. Basically, I'm being told that I should be plugging Size Strike's movie night tonight. Now, I'm perfectly happy to do that. Sadly, I don't know exactly what time it's on. So does anyone on the panel have an idea when that one is?
Well, I know they're coming on somewhat after us. I think it might be about 2 hours. Let's see here. Jen Morgan in the chat would know for sure, and she could plug the time in for everybody. That would be really cool.
That would be great. If people in the channel do know, make sure that you can do a little plug if you could pass out. Do a little bit of shilling on our behalf, basically, because, I've seen Size Strike's movie night. It is obviously epic. And if that's on tonight, you guys need to get down there and take a look at it, because he's, one of the old guard of the community. Right. Don't forget, if you've got any questions or comments at the Shills, we can pass them along. But I've only got one more question, basically, which is Blue Marble Science and End the Conspiracy. Would you guys like to join us to do our first debunk?
Oh, absolutely.
You betcha.
Oh, fantastic. In which case, I'm going to pass over to Mr. Dick Dawson to introduce the main event.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, up first we have YouTube channel A Plain Truth for You with their video entitled California Was an Island Up Until the 19th Century. I mean, fuck me, you can't make this shit up, man. Okay, Taddy, so let the stupid begin and roll this crap, buddy. Let's dig in.
I want to get into the mud floods. Was California an island below water civilizations that existed that most are unaware of today? But California, was it an island as recently as 150 to 200 years ago? Let's do a little exploration. This is a 17th century map by Nicholas Sanson, shows California depicted as an island. It's one of 800 such maps collected by Glenn McLaughlin, recently turned over to Stanford University, and we'll never hear from them again. It comes from this site here, and this was back in an article in 2012 from the Los Angeles.
It's just very quickly, it's like, when things go to institutions like universities so that they can archive them, it's not necessarily easy to get at them, but literally anyone can. His little statement about, we've never been seen from again, that's basically because people can't be bothered to go and find this stuff out. It is all there. You can go to almost any university and basically research virtually anything as long as you get a fairly preliminary basic amount of permission to do so in the first place. Dick, I thought I heard you cut in there.
But yeah, the way he said it was such a planting of the seed of conspiracy. That was so well done, the way he tossed that in like it was an afterthought, and it clearly was not. Come on.
Absolutely.
Fuck you.
Definitely by design. And Kennedy in Space, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, you mentioned the like just this whole it's been hidden away and nobody. That's such a common thing for conspiracy theorists lately. I came across someone on Twitter who gave me a wonderful little certificate of how dumb I am. It's great.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
Fair play.
And he kept sending me a video saying 5 experiments that were hidden from history. The first one's Michelson-Morley. It's not hidden. On Wikipedia.
Jesus.
It's only
these people
hidden
are
from
hilarious.
flirts who are too dumb to look for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is the
pretty
one
much.
group that always tell us to do our research. And the conspiracy, I see you wanted to jump in there, and then AB Science, I think.
Yeah, I just want to say when they start off with, you know, first couple words out of their mouth is mud flood, then you know the rest of it is just going to be bullshit.
It doesn't bode well, does it?
You're like, all right, well, this one's done.
Yeah, quite. It's one of those
When
sort of
I hear-
bells, isn't it? Alarm bells. Sorry, Dick.
Yeah, when I hear mud flood, the only thing that comes to mind is a really hungover dude in the morning that ate way too much Taco Bell. Like, come on. How can we say that with a straight face?
Oh, man. It
The
is
only mud
absolutely
flood I see is that diarrhea coming out of his mouth.
Like the shit stain scene in Train Spotting.
Some of us snack during
whoa,
this.
that's a big
Wow,
difference.
so much for having
Oh,
breakfast.
Or like,
Yeah, I apologize right now to anybody who might be eating due to time zones and stuff. But what are you supposed to do here, man? You got to call it like you see it, and it's bullshit. I'm sorry. I think the official term here is horse shit. Yeah, right. I heard that in my head. God, Radical, you've really gotten in there, buddy.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? People who are watching this show, I have to assume they knew what they were getting themselves in for. Right. Doesn't look to me like I've got anyone jumping to buzz in, so I'm going to go to Mr. Tatty Bogle and ask him to hit play again.
And they say 4 decades later, this collection of 800 maps, all showing California as an island, is making a splash in academia, and to both California lovers and haters, promotes the sentiment that the state, even not a physical island, remains a cultural and political one, no doubt. McLachlan recently turned his collection over to Stanford Branner's Earth Science Library, and it was part donation, thought to be worth about $2.1 million. Shows layers
Can we pause a
upon...
minute? Because I can see, and the conspiracy wanted to jump in there, I think.
Well, I noticed something because I go through a lot of conspiracy videos and a lot of, you know, flat Earth videos. What is with all these idiots with their little circle around their little icon mouse thing? It's like, because you can't see where your freaking mouse is running around. You got to put a circle on it.
It's for all the
because
other
people
fucking
watching-
dumb idiots. Those
Yeah, it's
dumbasses
the
who
people
can't
watching-
fucking read.
Oh,
The
bear with me.
people
Right, hold
watching
on.
are
We're
so
getting a double
stupid.
attack there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Jutmonk and get you to repeat yourself because you got stepped on a little bit, and then I'm going to go straight over to Dick Dawson afterwards. Sorry about that. Jutmonk, sorry, mate.
No,
What
they
was that?
basically do that because they know that most of the fucking idiots that are going to be watching are so stupid they can't read. So they have to circle it so that they can, like, Google the words.
That's it. They know what they're picking out their audience, aren't they? Dick Dawson.
Yeah, well, the people that are watching these videos and consuming it, not on our level as something to tear apart, but something to actually be, you know, brought in and made personal and part of your life, they have the brains of cats. So that little circle around the icon, that's like a fucking laser pointer to keep their goddamn attention. That's what's going on.
Oh, beautiful. Right now, Kiri Mac, you've got to come in from the chat, and then we've got AB. So, Kiri.
yeah. I've got a comment from Lord of the Hornets that says, it's just a bit of a friendly advice for you all. Do not put mud flood into RedTube. Unless you like that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not going to kink shame anyone, so, you know, you guys can
Yes, quite. I think that's sage advice indeed. Now, AB Science, you had something to add.
Yeah, I mean, you know, how these, you know, flat earthers and everything, you know, they talk about doing your own research. I decided to do some of my own research, and I Googled the word California and island. And then I pulled up the first article that came up, and I quote the opening statement. The island of California refers to a long-held Spanish misconception dating from the 16th century that the Baja California Peninsula was not part of mainland North America, but rather a large island, separated from the continent by a strait now known as the Gulf of California, one of the most famous cartographic errors in history. So this is hardly a secret if cartographic people, cartographers, that's the word, if it's a very famous case in their field.
Absolutely.
You know what the best part of it is if you look up, there's this little passage describing the island. Know that on the right hand of the Indies, there is an island called California, very close to the side of the terrestrial paradise, and it is peopled by black women without any man among them, for they live in the manner of Amazons. That's amazing.
Yes. That's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it does rather seem like the video we're watching basically involves a man looking at old maps that feed his narrative and completely ignoring all of the nice stuff that we've done since using, like satellites and people with actual measuring equipment. It's just ridiculous. Also, I think at some point he mentions Dutch maps, and God, at the time, Dutch maps were a bit unreliable because the people making them had never left Holland. But unless anyone wants to leap on in now, I'm going to suggest...
I got one more thing.
Oh, yeah?
That's my nation.
Conspiracy. Hey there, buddy.
Well, you had mentioned it, that they cherry pick and find what fits their narrative. They always take everything out of context. They'll go through and it's like, well, this says this, but above it and below it will completely deny what it says. So they'll cut those parts out and just go, well, it says right here.
Absolutely. Also, AB Science, I'd just like to pass on. There's nothing wrong with your nation at all. I'm a very big fan of Holland. It's just that famously they were a bit terrible at maps in about the 16th, 7th century. That's all. I'm wondering if Blue Marble Science has anything that you'd like to chip in with at the moment. Hello, mate.
I have to sit and scratch my head in amazement as usual when I see one of these things. I mean, clearly we're dealing with a guy that's got the intelligence of an average small marsupial. So I'm really not too sure what to do other than just watch some more of this and hope it goes away.
Yeah, all right. That's an excellent point. In that case, I think we'll pass straight over to the man with the big red button, Tatty Vogel. Let's hit play.
History, but Stanford concludes it's not real. Bullshit. So this is from California asanisland.org. Sometime in the past, before the Ice Age, most of Western North America and probably the whole world was accurately mapped by technologically advanced people. Now, folks, I want to take you back to before the Kali Yuga cycle, back to the days of the ancients who built pyramids. We still can't figure out why, how, purpose, where they got the limestone.
Yeah, pause. Right, I heard Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey and the barman. So, Jutmonk, let's go you first.
Yeah, don't say he's going to start going down that whole fucking aliens built the pyramids.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck
yeah,
that.
Ancients had high technology. How did they get it? Were they better than us? Was it aliens? But barman, mate, what did you want to add?
Well, the pause was about 10 seconds earlier than I liked. I was like, oh, damn it. Because in about 10 seconds, he goes, oh, yeah, the limestone quarries were 500 miles away from the pyramids. They were 8 fucking miles away. They got some of it even fucking closer. We know how they were built, and we know how they were built because an architect went out there one day. Yeah. He wasn't there as anything special. He was there on holiday, and he went, yeah, well, I know how I'd build them. I'd build them basically going round on the inside. And he spoke to a couple of people, and they said, well, that bloke over there has been working on them or whatever. And basically, he got a TV shot of it saying, yeah, well, this is how I'd do it. They did a couple of tests and experiments, got permission to go up to the pyramid, look in one of these corners where it was slightly cracked and go, oh, yeah, you can see the fucking ramp inside where they fucking capped it over. So we know how they were built. We know where the fucking limestone came from. We're not fucking stupid. You're just fucking stupid.
We know where the workers lived, how they lived, and on and on and on. For God's sakes, Egypt is studied so hard that we don't have archaeologists. We have Egyptologists, for Christ's sake.
That's right. Isn't it true? Isn't it true as well that those some of that stone was floated there and they'd like built harbours and canals?
Well, when the Nile flooded in the rainy season time, the port for the pyramid was 200 yards away from the base of the pyramid.
Yeah,
I know this because I've been looking for next week's video, so I have to do all this research. So it's worked out fucking perfectly.
Perfect. Now, look, I've got a few people. My board has just lit up now. Now, Dick Dawson's one of the people on the list, but you did also cut in there. Did you get your point out, or was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I did want to add that as soon as he switched to the pyramid, you could hear it in his voice and in the way he talked. This guy has gone to the Eric Von Daniken School of Conspiratard Bullshit, and holy fuck did he soak it up. You know, this guy probably has a little doll of Giorgio Tsoukalos that he takes to bed and, you know, strokes his hair up nicely so it stands straight before he goes to bed like it's a fucking treasure troll or whatever. Holy.
Yeah. I thought that's what those troll dolls were. Fair enough. Right, DeadKennedyInSpace, what did you want to add?
I think I buzzed in like as the video paused, and I think it's all been said now. This idea that
sorry.
This idea that no, that's all right. This idea that the pyramids are like super mysterious and we have no idea what's going on there. The answer is very simple: an endless supply of slave labor. That's how you build the pyramid.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying this for a while. People sort of say about how, oh, it's impossible and they don't know how many men. It's like, well, yeah, but when you have a whole selection of people you basically regard as expendable, you don't really worry too much about manpower or pay. All you've got to worry about is where they get the stone from.
Oh, I believe.
No, wait, that was a misnomer. They paid them.
Oh, really?
They were not slaves. Skilled laborers. Yeah.
I say. Well,
the builders were treated really well.
So was it a matter of everyone in the culture then being very like fervent towards their religions that they got this done?
Basically, yeah. You had 20 years to build the Great Pyramid. They reckon took about 20 years to build, but it's basically funds the entire economy of the country. Of let's bring in some labourers, right? We need to support these labourers, so we're going to need to sort out all the grain supply, the food supply, the bakers. We're going to need to bring all the supplies in. It basically funds
you
the
to build infrastructure.
Basically, it's like building a motorway nowadays for the government. The government says, right, we're going to, H1, H2 and all that.
Like a national project, of course.
Yeah, it supports the economy of the country.
Now, AB sounds like I hear you raring to cut in. I see you on the list, so you go ahead, mate.
Yeah, so it is those pyramids. They are massive public works projects. Essentially, they're job creation programs. But you also got to remember that the motivation is that their whole societal structure and the religious structure was that the pharaoh was was a god
king,
precisely. But that was actually not my point because actually it was an earlier point. Earlier this guy insinuated that it's like, oh, it's been sent to university, so we'll never hear of it again, as if there's some massive cover-up. But half a minute later, he talks about a website called CaliforniaAsAnIsland.org. If there is a cover-up, surely that kind of domain would,
You'd
not
think,
exist,
wouldn't you? You'd think. Although, to be fair, it would be nice if just once one of these sources was a .edu, isn't it? Rather than anyway.
That would be nice.
That's my personal gripe. Logical Troglodyte, what did you have to add?
Most of what I had to say has already been said, except one. Historians and archaeologists know a lot. Let's face it, writing's been around since Sumeria, but not everyone in the past knew how to read and write. At one time, that was the purview of the scribes and chroniclers. So not everything was written down. Why? Because a lot of these things were common knowledge. Therefore, our historians and our archaeologists have to infer based on other evidence than the written record at times.
Wow, there you go. See, this is why we have Logical Troglodyte, to remind us of the details and the facts and to bring us all down to level. On which note, Kiri Mac, are you going to liven things up again, or are you going to be nice and sensible?
I'm going to be a bit sensible. We've got two questions. I'll try. I can do it, I promise. Glober Mom wants to know, so where is the technological civilization and where did their technology go? If these guys believe that aliens with their...
It's a reasonable point.
Right? I mean, did we lose it?
They didn't just have magic-infused rocks that just happened to be laying around. There had to be actual technology, right? You don't fly through space on a clump of granite. It takes a bit more than that.
I've got a question from Adrian Clark. What about the idea that the pyramids are built specifically to reverberate sound at a certain healing frequency? Interesting.
It sounds and it smells like horse shit. What do you think, guys?
I would give that a big for fuck's sake.
I wouldn't want to step in that. Go ahead, Blue. Go ahead.
There is a reason for that. It is horse shit. That's why it smells like that.
Yes. I'm sorry. I think that's a big fat no from the panel. Kennedy in space. What did you want to add?
I was going to mention there's this thing in the chat recently because Ash Scott said, "How did a pharaoh get through life without anyone ever hearing him take a dump?" And my first thought was, well, who says gods can't take dumps? Yes, I know that the North Korean former leader was said to not even have an asshole. He's not a real god. But let's go with some legitimate mythology here, shall we?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking right. He was said not to have an asshole. That is amazing. I'm speechless, genuinely. Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey, please fill the dead air for me.
Yeah, I was just like looking at the chat, and there is some shite being shoveled onto it again.
Is there now?
Oh.
Hello, Squire. How you doing, buddy? He's one of our favourite trolls.
Yeah.
Look, reminder to the mods then. This is probably a good point for me to interject and remind them. Don't go kicking anyone out who isn't being an absolute bellend. If someone's being a racist, sexist, misogynist bastard, they're breaking all the terms of service and they're just jumping all over someone who wants to be left well alone, you have my permission to kick the fucker out. But otherwise, do none of it. It's free speech. Let them basically be a dickbag so that we can be a dickbag right back. How about that?
If he calls you a twat, just fucking call him a twat back.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Although our mods
Yeah.
are pretty damn good at this. We only ever point out on the odd chance. You know, we've had one or two issues over the sort of the weeks, but they've been very minimal. And actually, our moderators are fantastic. So thank you very much, Blue Spanners. You're doing an epic job. You're playing a blinder.
Bunch of fucking spanners.
Kiri Mac, you want to jump in once more? What was
Yeah. Ash Scott is saying, ask any religion person if their god shits. Maybe the Buddhists might say yes, but nobody else.
Yeah.
Well, as a Buddhist, I can concur.
There you go then.
There you go. That's brilliant.
Brad Boychuk, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, is asking, does Gladys think this guy is an idiot?
Oh, Gladys is very certain this guy's an idiot.
Oh, man. I love the sidekicks that you have. Gladys is brilliant. Logical Troglodyte's got Gracie as well. There's just a few fantastic sidekicks kicking around the place. Frankly, I think I'm now a sidekick to Mr. Jimbo, so that could be worse, I guess. I think Dick Dawson, you've got something to add. Sorry, hello, mate.
Yeah, Casual Spaceman's got a good one that I'm going to hand right to end the conspiracy. Well, according to Why You Are an Idiot, we lost the technology after the flood, including Apache helicopters, according to the hieroglyph symbols. And the conspiracy, would you like to finish that up?
Yeah, they determined that those were just two glyphs over top one another. So yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, it was a funny happenstance that it happened to look similar to a helicopter, but it is actually just generational overlapping. That's all.
Well, the other thing too is they always bring up the so-called spaceships in the hieroglyphs that they determine those are just pots with plants in them. They look like a spaceship. It's a potted plant.
Amazing.
This is what I've heard, the one about the Tree of Life, which they claim was an electric light bulb. That's one of the ones that I sort of seem to remember. And don't the Sumerians wear wristwatch communication devices?
Yeah,
that came up.
Yeah, no way it's jewelry and it's just decoration or, maybe like military rank or something. No, it's on the wrist. It has to be like high technology, right?
Oh, yeah,
I've never seen a
absolutely.
human wear anything but high tech on their wrists, of course.
No. Bracelets aren't a thing. DeadKennedyInSpace, what did you have to add?
Well, you mentioned the Tree of Life. Let's remember, Why You Are an Idiot is the guy who thinks that the pressure gradient is caused by the lack of Yggdrasil.
No, that's him. Oh,
That is
wow.
him.
That's
that's
him.
quite a claim.
The lack of
Jesus,
Idris Elba?
right.
Why you are an idiot? He's a fucking idiot.
Hey. Amazing. Right, let's see. Sarcastic Barman, looks like you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, with all these glyphs and pictures and things like that, isn't that just coming down to my favourite word that I hate fucking saying, pareidolia? And it's just we're seeing shapes and going, I got it right, yeah, pareidolia, parapodolia, fuck it, shut up.
You lost
word
it.
where you're
It's
seeing
gone.
shapes in your brain's basically seeing something, going, yes, I know what that is. That's a helicopter. No,
Now,
it's just
there's
something
another
you
one,
haven't
isn't
seen
there?
or something different.
Why You Are an
being
Idiot?
fucking
loved
mental.
earlier.
So you get now logical troglodyte, dead Kennedy in space, or blue marble science. I suspect it's going to be one of you guys, or maybe AB science, I should say as well, who can answer this. Now there are two kinds. You've got pareidolia, which is basically recognizing faces and certain silhouettes, but then you've got another one which begins with an A, agantophobia, something like that. I mean, does anyone know the word I'm thinking of here?
Not a clue.
Wow, that's a big yawning silence.
Never
Okay,
heard
well, look,
that
I'm going to start
before.
Googling in the background. Yeah, there's two. They're basically the same thing. One is about sort of implying agency or thinking you've seen or heard something without having done so. And the other's more specifically about silhouettes and faces and things. And that's the pareidolia one. Look, someone in the chat's probably clever enough to sort of point this out. And if they don't, I'm going to go Googling. So in the meantime, let's press play on the video and sort of get this out of the way because he's talking such a lot of bollocks.
500 miles away on ships, how they got them there, how they excavated over 13 acres, put up 3.5 million stones, weighing between 2 and 3 tons, in perfect symmetry with north, west, east, and south alignment with the stars and the maps of the heavens. And they were mapped up all around the world. And we also know the Sphinx was buried in sand quite a lot too, and that's another one to add to the mud fossil story. So anyway, these ancient source maps were used by map makers until the 1700s to fill in the vast unknown areas on the western side.
Okay. And the conspiracy. Hello, mate. What did you have to add?
Okay, the whole Sphinx being buried, it's because of wind blow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's had nothing to do with the mud flood. I mean, they've unburied it, what, like 5 times now?
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the fucking Sahara, you idiot.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the shifting dunes of the sand?
map dunes.
Yeah,
exactly.
What the hell?
You know how much sand has been blowing in the Sahara for the past 3,000 years, you fucking moron?
Oh my God! Logical troglodyte, you had something to throw into the ring.
Oh, gee, mini Christmas, the Sphinx. Do people not realize that the Sahara hasn't always been a desert? That there was a time when it was much wetter and much richer? Yes, the Sphinx has some water damage in the areas that were preserved because the dunes had started covering it after the weather pattern shifted and it became a fucking desert.
Thank you, as ever, for adding a note of sanity.
Anybody that knows the simplest bit about geology knows how the Earth has constantly shifted and climates have moved to, or, continents have moved into different climates and so on and so forth. There's so many factors involved. To just assume that, oh, well, this desert's been a desert since the dawn of time is exactly like assuming, oh, look out my window and the horizon looks flat. Now, fucking shut up. God damn it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
exactly
I am so...
Dead DeadKennedyInSpace. Oh, sorry, Trog.
I'm so waiting for one of these dickweeds to actually start pointing at all those little towns and things that are out in the middle of the Sahara and say, aliens! They couldn't survive there without aliens. Bite me.
Absolutely. Right, Dead DeadKennedyInSpace, what did you have you want to say?
Well, it looks like we found the word we were looking for, apathenia.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. It's the tendency to mistakenly perceive connections and meaning between unrelated things. Alternatively, as one minute debunk said, apupanesia, or as the idiot said, quadrophenia.
I like that reference. Excellent stuff. Still a couple of reasons I see you on the list.
Shit out of your ass.
That's why I couldn't remember that word, because I'm rather apathetic about apathenia.
We should make a new word.
That's all. We
should make a new word.
Yes. Steaming cup of reason. I've got you on the list. Did you want to add anything now?
Yeah.
Or I thought I heard you cut it already, but
we need to add a new word. Flurfadolia. The ability to recognize bullshit and everything.
Yeah. Perfect. Love it. Right, Blue, what do you want to add? Sorry, Dick, sorry, buddy. I'm just going to let Blue go, and then I'll come back to you, okay?
Yeah, Demon Orb Heathen had said Flurfadolia, seeing flat Earth everywhere. I like that.
No way! Great minds. Look at that. Sorry, Blue Marble Science.
Well, these guys need to keep in mind, even if the wind didn't blow, all you need is 3 5-year-olds with plastic buckets and shovels, and they'll bury the Sphinx in about a fucking week.
Yeah, they will bury anything. Absolutely. God forbid you fall asleep on the beach next to the kids. That's absolutely true. Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey, hello, buddy.
Yes. Well, talking about winds and sands, when I lived over in Gran Canaria, there's a beach with sand dunes called Maspalomas, and it's huge. Now, we have this storm that happens about 2 to 3 times a year called a Scirocco, and the sky turns like a pinky orange colour, and basically it blows sands from the Sahara Desert right over the Canary Islands, and it's been doing it for thousands of years. And you've got an inch of sand, literally, sometimes if it's bad, up to an inch of sand on the bottom of your pools, and they've got these things that look like hoovers, and they suck it up.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's funny you should say that, because part of the reason that I was away for... Oh, go on.
Yeah, so we even had that in London once not that long ago, where the winds carried a shit ton of sand from the Sahara Desert, and it made the sky this really weird, funky color. It was, it was fun.
Well, it's an interesting fact that
you
it's
get
exactly
horrible.
the...
You get a horrible taste in your mouth, and it's just like dogs bark, even like wildlife goes crazy, birds start flying, and that just before it happens, you know, you just know something's happening in the air. It's a weird, electric, and then you look over from the east, and there it is.
Well, no, it's funny you should say that.
Yeah, I was going to say those clowns in Australia get the same bloody deal too with their bloody outback.
Oh, is it? Yeah, because they get bull dust over there. Well, this is it. I was going to mention, this is, you know, when people talk about Mars getting dust storms that cover the entire planet and can last for days or months, right?
Yes.
It's exactly the same effect. It's this incredibly fine, super fine dust. Now, I was in Spain a couple of weeks ago for a few episodes. That's where I was away. Same problem. Basically, every morning you get up and you have to wipe Saharan dust off the tiles. Now, I'm a few hundred miles over the Med from Africa, but every damn day this stuff's coming in. And as you say, the sunsets are bloody ridiculous when it comes over. It's fantastic. Now, Kiri Mac, you look like you wanted to jump in. What did you have to add?
Well, I have Lord of the Hornets said that lots of buried stuff in Egypt was found from Google Earth images, he believes. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Google Mum says flurfers have flat eyes, so that's pretty much it.
Marvellous. All right, thank you very much indeed. Once more, a reminder to the audience, if you've got any comments or questions, at the Shills, and Kiri's going to get them out to us, or to the guests, or just back out to the audience in general. Steamy Cup of Reason, what did you want to say?
Yeah, I lived in Algeria for a year, and I can tell you, a Sahara sandstorm can bury a pickup truck inside an hour.
Wow. Jesus wept. That's pretty impressive. I've never had to deal with that level of madness. You've clearly had a bit of an exciting time of it. Do you have to dig out your car in the morning with a shovel?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, lovely stuff. Well, look, I don't see anyone crowded getting on the list, so I'm going to suggest we finish off this video with Tatty Vogel.
America, you can bet they're domiciled in the catacombs of the Vatican. In the following series, I analyze Johannes Wigboom's California as an Island map. I show the makers of the original map possessed a detailed knowledge of geography of Western North America. 1700s, folks. Correlation of features on the map of actual locations demonstrates the map is very accurate. This guy has a degree in engineering, 1976 from University of California, Los Angeles. The Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings by Charles Hapgood. This is a very important book. It was written in 1516, which totally destroys current map making and cartographers' maps of today. It shows that the Antarctic was ice-free and a bunch of other things. But Hapgood showed that the Paris map was a compilation of at least 4 source maps that fit together into a mosaic. Ptolemy is the most famous geographer of the ancient world. He worked in Alexandria, Egypt in the 2nd century AD in the greatest library of the ancient world. He had at his command all the accumulated geographical information of the world. He was acquainted with mathematics. He shows in his greatest work, the Geographia, a modern scientific mentality. Can we lightly assume that the medieval sailors of the 14th century, without any knowledge, without any modern instruments except a rudimentary compass, and without mathematics, could produce a more scientific product? More importantly, Hapgood's research showed that old maps contained geographical features that should not have been known to mankind. The Orientius Phineas map of Antarctica, for example, shows mountain ranges that should have been covered by glaciers for hundreds of thousands of years, and have more recently been discovered under the ice by modern scientific techniques. How were these map makers able to map these mountains? Over 250 maps from the 17th and 18th centuries was shown as California as an island. This is the McLaughlin maps we were referring to earlier. Dates back to 1621. Island maps continued in the 1800s in the spite of Spanish explorer Father Kino, Jesuit, demonstrating California's connectedness in 1705 by walking there from Mexico. But since then, no accurate maps. Map makers continue to supply the market using ancient sources. For the first 300 years of colonial rule, this is how the description of the map goes. For the first 300 years of the Western colonial rule, the Southwest was still under colonial rule of Spain, who closely guarded all information provided by its explorers. The Spanish explorers did their best to collect geographic information via fragmentary field maps that found their way back to Spain, where they were in turn added to a master map that was guarded with the utmost secrecy by the Casa de Contratación in Seville, mapping and imagination in the Great Basin. So here we go back to Spain. Spain invented the Columbus landing in the United States. America never did. All the rest they invented up, the round ball spinning earth and all the rest of this stuff. Remember, Spain is the Spanish Inquisitions and where the Jesuits took their hold again. In light of all this, it's not surprising that it took so long for map makers in the rest of Europe to produce an up-to-date map of the western U.S. and to discontinue the use of sources showing California as an island.
It's only got about 10 seconds left, guys. We might as well go, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
play on to the
I'm
end.
okay with us stopping it there.
Well, I tell
Oh
you what,
my
let's find
God.
out. Tatty Vogel, I'm guessing we're pretty much on the end there. Was there much left to run?
Maybe about another 30 seconds or so.
Well, I'll tell you what then. Do you want to
God.
blast through that last 30
Let's
seconds and
play
then
it,
we'll all do
yeah.
a nice big round table?
Cool.
Sources used by vagabonds and all map makers in this area is unknown, but a writer in 1622, what writer, notes, California, which is now found to be an island stretching south from 22 degrees to 42 degrees, which means they're already mapping longitude and latitude, and lying almost directly north and south, as may appear on the map that the land which I have seen here in London brought out of Holland. Indeed, many of the maps produced for the next century came out of Holland, including the one to which we'll pay special attention, the Vigbooms map. How the sources go to Holland would probably be an interesting story. I want to get into...
Okay, there you go. So that's the end of that one. Now, I got a whole mess of people wanting to jump in. I'm going to go straight to Kiri Mac first. Have we got anything in the comments you want to read out?
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions if we want to take them before the next video.
Yeah, sure.
Let me just scroll down here. There's a lot. Okay, so Soapy Kun says, why does everybody say that the flat earth is dying or dead?
Because it is.
Because it's it's a twitching corpse at this
Because
point.
it's
making a
bollocks.
few sort of recognizable motions, but apart from that, it's doing nothing. This is an X movement.
Well,
Fucking
I'm not sure
joke.
about that.
Ah, well, yeah, AB Science, here we go. A note of wisdom. What do you reckon then, mate?
The thing is, like, when I started my channel, I was hearing that, and we're now quite a few months down the line, and we're still hearing that, but there is no evidence of it. We're still seeing the same people.
Do
spit
you know
out
what I
lots of
think it
shit.
is?
I mean,
Just
I
search-
agree totally.
People searching for flat Earth, the numbers have been steadily dropping, and they're still on the decline. I think you're right about it never truly dying. I wonder how small it's going to get before it does stop atrophying, I suppose. But I still think it is
Well-
in decline
well,
as we speak.
It's
I
not
honestly
even that.
think that it's us that's losing the interest in it.
That's it. It's not dying. People just don't care anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Bollocks.
possibly.
Let them crack on.
Today,
Nobody seems to care, do they?
Casual Spaceman has a question for Blue Marble.
Go
He
on.
mentioned about the denial of space programs, and he wants to know if you might collab sometime. So, if you can
Oh,
get in
I
touch with us, you
see.
can get in touch with him.
Well, yeah, absolutely. DeadKennedyInSpace and I are actually going to be going and doing a little bit of a show with
Yeah.
See, now look, I nearly called him the Sarcastic Barman. I still can't get it right. Casual Spaceman. I'm sorry, Barman, mate. What can I do? I'm just going to call you both the same name at some point. What was
Fucking
it?
dork, mate.
Casual Spaceman, or whatever it is. Right,
Absolute
Kiri, was there
dork.
any more questions you had on the list?
Sure. Schrodinger's cat wants to know who Blue Marble Science's favourite co-panelist on Jose's show is.
Oh goodness, that's a very hard question.
Right.
Jose,
You got to pick
Jose,
favourites.
Jose has well, I'll just have to say it's Schrodinger's. Okay,
There you
that's,
go then.
that's the safe way out, right?
Quite right. I think that's wise.
My favorite is anybody
Absolutely.
that's not pissing me off at the moment. Okay.
Also, Toady UK says hi.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Cody.
Cool. Right. Any more for any more?
Hello.
All good here at the moment.
Lovely. Well, in that case, oh, by the way, it is the Sarcastic Spacebar. Thank you very much for reminding me, Dead Kennedy. Next, Logical Troglodyte. You've been waiting patiently forever. Have you still got a comment you wanted to make?
I do, and it's about this idiot that we just wrapped up watching. Two thoughts, really. One, if that had actually been an island, then that means the Pacific plate would have to have been moving east and slightly south. I want him to show me how that works when we clearly can watch it move north and slightly west. Two, it's where does he get off thinking that 16th and 17th century cartographers are more accurate than today? If they have been trying to actually hide historic and current events so that they can fool you, then don't you think that maybe the cartographers might have been part of that conspiracy?
Absolutely. Indeed. Well said, that man. Now, let's see. The Sarcastic Spacebar. What did you want to say, mate? That's you, barman.
I'm still muted, yes. I was talking and forgot I was muted. Oh, fun. Yeah, so you got the craziness of 14th century people had no maths. I'm sorry, did they forget how to fucking count? No. I mean, let's be fair. Even before the 14th century, we believe the Vikings made it all the way to fucking America, and they didn't even have a fucking compass. They just plotted where the fucking sun was and kept going. For Christ's sake, these are not difficult concepts. And as for the map, I'm sorry, I've got this vague recollection that running through the California Peninsula is a fucking set of mountains, isn't there? For fuck's sake. What the fuck happened to them? they just disappear overnight.
There is a point in what Trog said, actually, about weapons. Maps back then were somewhat of a weapon, because if you were the only people who claimed to have accurate maps of an area, you could hide certain valuable bits from all your enemies and go, no, it's just an island. You want to ignore the bit up the top where all the gold is. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to be sure. Now,
there's no silver and slaves.
No, not even slightly. Dead DeadKennedyInSpace.
I was going to wrap up my thoughts on my video. Before I do, though, I have something to say to Shite Shovel, who's continuously typing Canada. Hey, you watch it there, buddy.
Oh man,
listen,
yeah.
I'll go super Canadian on your ass. Me and the boys will go out for a rip and start feeding them to you.
Hey.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, can I watch? I'll film it. Fucking.
He's got a bottle of Molson's and he's not afraid to drink it.
To be honest, when you said we're going to go Canadian on your ass, then I was just thinking you're about to say we're going to get the boys out and then we'll come over to you and apologize.
Really hard.
we take you out to a donut shop. What's the one they have in Canada? The famous
Tim
one.
Hortons.
That's the one. Yeah, we're going to take you out for Tim Hortons for some breakfast and coffee.
Yeah.
We'll talk this out like a real man.
This is going to be much more of a where can I hide this hockey stick and how many can I fit kind of hello. Oh yeah.
It's steam knife.
How many
cups
can you swallow?
Now, our producer, Mr. Tatty Bogles, look at you. Looks like he's on the line. Hello, buddy. You wanted to cut in there?
Yeah, just one wee observation. I noticed through that he said it was a Spanish conspiracy or a Spanish lie about Columbus reaching the Americas. Now, I was under the impression that he sailed from Porto, which is in Portugal.
He did. He was.
I believe he did go from Portugal. Yeah.
I think he was funded by the Spanish crown, though, wasn't he?
Well,
yes, I think.
Yes, he was an Italian funded by the Spanish crown who set sail from Portugal and actually made it to the area around Cuba.
I see. Right, now
he
look,
didn't actually make it to the United States.
While we're sort of going around the table a little bit, I want to call in our two guests. I just wondered if they had anything they wanted to add to the table at the moment. Perhaps if I start with End the Conspiracy. Hello, buddy. What do you think about what you've seen?
Retarded.
Rocky.
I just these things you listen to them, and the more I listen to them, the least and least they make sense. I mean, when you first listen to them, I go, okay, he might have a point, but then he keeps talking, and you go, yeah, nope, he's just dumb.
Oh
man,
man,
they all seem to be that way. I mean, he threw in
doesn't it?
the archives in the Vatican and Spanish Inquisition, and just like, what more bullshit are you going to throw into this one video?
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody.
Now, Blue Marble Science, what about you, good self? You've seen the video now. Have you got any final thoughts on it?
Yeah, I can only come to the conclusion that that guy's a total fucking idiot.
Ding.
Here.
Absolutely.
I would
Right.
like to remind him of this though. I got to believe that a couple of surveying crews with some theodolites can probably do a better job than a guy with a rope and a donkey.
Yeah. Epic.
And you know, even in the 14th century, we knew better than to think 5 divided by 0 is still 5. I did that for Anthony Riley, especially, by the way.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad. I'm not sure he would have learned anything valuable, but thank you for trying. Steamy Cup of Reason, I think I saw you trying to cut in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say the amount of cherries this guy picked could fill a dumpster. I think he's a paid shill for Del Monte.
Do you think? He certainly said yes, didn't he? Right, now look, instead of going around the table and forcing every one of you to think of something on the spot about the nonsense we've just seen, what I'm actually going to do is give everyone a chance to sort of jump in now or press that button. I mean, Jutmonk.
As Jay said, right, I mean, he pretty much threw in all the other conspiracies going there, including the globe lie. You know what I mean? This fucking deluded paranoid weirdo must find life absolutely fucking terrifying, man. Nightmare. Everyone's lying to him. Everyone and everything is trying to kill him or dumb him down with chemical fucking warfare. I bet this fucking wank spanner wakes up in the morning, checks his kettle just in case his fucking neighbour broke in and shoveled some shite into it in the night.
Oh, if only. DeadKennedyInSpace, what about you, buddy?
First of all, Shite Shovel said Canadian mayors smoke crack, dispute that God-given fact. No, that dude is dead. In regards to the video, there was a mayor of Toronto who at some point did smoke crack. That is a very embarrassing moment in Canadian history. But in regards to the video, he brought it back to the Jesuits. And here's something I don't understand. Because generally the flat earth theory is the government's trying to hide God. It's trying to hide Hebrew cosmology, and it goes back to Freemasons, and then it goes back to Jesuits. Why would Jesuits want to hide God?
Good point.
That's a very good one.
Now, look, I've got a couple of comments coming in. Basically, I think we'll go over to Kiri Mac in a moment, but can I get Dick Dawson in on the pile?
Yeah, the whole idea is absolutely moronic from the start. What's his nuts here? Shit shovel there, or whatever the hell his name is. You can go on about what is his name? Something Ford that was smoking the pipe there that one time. But I mean, if you're in the States, well, you elected Sonny Bono for God's sakes. And, I could go around to all other countries and find some really wild ones too. So, Shite Shovel, put that shit that's on your shovel back in your mouth where it belongs and try again. All right, let's move it on.
Nice. Kiri Mac, what about you?
I have a comment from Martin James who said, Leif Erikson certainly did make it to America around 1005. You can visit the remains of one of the Norse settlements. Shortly afterwards, Alberundi calculated it must be there using mathematics.
Dum dum dum.
Dum, dum. That's
terrifying. Lovely. All right. Well, thank you very much indeed for that, Kiri Mac. I think basically we're at a natural point in the proceedings to think about moving on to doing a little bit at least of the next video. Unless anyone's got any objections, in which case shout out now. I'm going to ask Dick Dawson to introduce the next segment for us.
Well, thank you very much for that. And our second video of the evening comes to us from YouTube channel, the Lost History channel, TKTC. And it is entitled, It's Only Strange Because We Have Been Taught Lies. How could we resist that title, right? So, Daddy, if you don't mind, let's dive down this rabbit hole and see what we find, shall we?
Hold on to your hats.
It's easy to rely on the research and opinions of people who dedicate their lives to studying ancient anomalies on this planet, but they aren't always correct. Their research and findings are based upon study and teachings from people who are not 100% correct, so a fresh set of eyes is always going to see the things they may be blind to. We indeed have been blind to some kind of cover-up, which may not have been put in place by humans. It's absolutely astonishing to think that for thousands of years we have literally misinterpreted history, but we have. And even in modern times, we separate ourselves from certain...
Okay, was that Dead Kennedy in Space?
First of all, he's already setting up, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
Wait. I've got to stop you. No, I was listening. He didn't say, I'm not saying. He said he does know. I'm pretty sure he's about to say, it's aliens, which would be a bit of a first for the History Channel. Sorry, I don't mean to correct you, but I guess we'll wait and see. Sorry, do carry on.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it could very well be. But, like, I hate this, like, this whole confusing thing of, like, you know, he starts with, it's easy to trust people who have spent their lives figuring this stuff out. And
yeah, no shit.
No, it's, well.
Oh, what? Have I ruined your point? Oh, I'm so sorry, mate.
No, it's just breaking my brain because people who spend their lives like, of course they get it wrong sometimes. This is like that fundamental misinterpretation of science, which is science is the big truth. No, it's not. Science is everybody going, well, we think so until we see something better.
Right, whatever happened to like tentatively accepting a proposition based on the evidence, you know, and having degrees of certainty about things?
Yeah, that's the whole point in science, isn't it? It's not about getting the right picture; it's just getting the least wrong picture.
Yeah, exactly. It's this process of proving yourself wrong endlessly, so that you end up with a pile of stuff where you just haven't managed that yet, and it all seems to work. It's not this incredible hunt for absolute truth. Well, that's an incredibly long
not. Yeah. It is not though. It is just. It's very much a march forward, right? It's supposed to be. So, you know.
Absolutely. Actually, it's something that was mentioned at the beginning. It's that thing where he says it's easy to trust people who spent years devoting their life to it, and it's just like, well, yeah. It kind of is, on the grounds that you sort of look at the amount of work they've done and the evidence that they've dug up and the way they've pieced it together and the incredible sort of models they've built and the stuff they found out. And you go, yeah, these guys seem to know what they're fucking talking about. It does take my breath away that people can watch it, listen to that and go, yeah, fucking universities and scientists and that. What I want to see is some guy on YouTube go, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it just breaks my goddamn brain. I feel a bit like you, Dead Kennedy. Words are beginning to fail me. I'll tell you what. Let's play a little bit more of the madness because I know he's got some crazy coming.
In society, which include faith and education. It was not so long ago that an educated person would consider themselves too intelligent to believe any sort of God, and the religiously faithful, in turn, would suggest they felt sorry for their soul. But why can't both be right? Where's the bit in the middle? It is easy to say religion is a hoax and that technology is advanced today compared to ancient times, but why don't we consider religion to be accurate accounts of history? Why would ancient people make up stories about who they were? Wouldn't it make more sense that they were preserving history rather than making it?
I feel the blood boiling. DeadKennedyInSpace, you're fast, mate.
I wanted to hold it in, but come on. Why do we distrust religion as a credible source? Because it describes things that are impossible.
Yeah, that one.
Utterly impossible.
Why would ancient people invent stories? Yeah, why would people invent stories except that it's something that all humans have always done ever since we could fucking draw pictures forever? I mean, Christ, honestly, what a fucking question. Sarcastic Barman, what did you want to add?
Oh, people lie. People say things when they can't understand something. If religion was true, shouldn't every single religion on the face of the earth for all time, before until the end of time, have the same origin story instead of slightly different ones or completely different ones or different gods, goddesses, and things like that. Apparently, there's the one Christian god who's also the Muslim god, Jewish, Islam, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same god that's supposed to have created the world, the universe, the whole lot. So fucking why is it not the same for everyone? Why were the Indians in America had no idea about any of this shit, but apparently they're fucking descendants from Adam and Eve because they're fucking not, because religion is bollocks.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? That's something Sean Carroll made the point excellently once, where he basically said if one religion was true, what you would expect would be that one holy book seems to be right about everything and that all of the things in it basically came true and all the other stuff wasn't, and that there would be fairness and there would be natural justice and there would be sort of general balance in life. And if no religions were true, what you'd find would be there'd be loads of religious books, all of which make slightly different claims and which are kind of random, and there'd be sort of lots of suffering in the world and a bit of sort of random evil, and it's like it sort of seems a bit suspect to me that the evidence points in one direction. Troglodyte. I'm sorry, Barman.
No, I just wanted to finish off saying I'm not having to go at anyone who is religious, because I know we do get people who watch the show, but it's that just annoyingness of the people who take it too far and take it as dogmatic, and it's like, no, you need to slap with my fucking cock, you twat.
Isn't it? I mean, you point out to these people that the vast majority of people in their own religion think that they're fucking idiots. You know, like the vast majority of moderate Christians don't think the world's 6,000 years old, and they don't think that like aliens built this sort of stuff. They don't have this, you know, there are plenty of scientists and PhDs and perfectly normal, intelligent people who know what shape the world is, who believe in God. There's clearly no problem with that.
I was going to say.
Yeah, there's a saying.
Sorry, Jeff.
Sorry. There's a saying that I've heard many times that I believe God did not create man. It was man that created God.
There you go.
Well, you know, I suppose it depends on your viewpoint now. Even a moderate Christian can sort of argue that, oh, well, you know, God created man, but it was all a bit more metaphorical and allegorical than the book tells you, right? Logical Troglodyte, well, sorry, did I cut you off, mate?
It's sort of, but that's okay. In answer to the question, why would ancient people make up stories? Well, do these idiots not understand that science, as we know it today, only started about 2,600 years ago? It's a rather recent development in the history of Homo sapiens. Prior to that, science didn't really exist as such, you know, so in order to understand the world around them, the only thing they had to work on was these ideas of stories and these ideas of a creation myth and these ideas of something else that it was bigger than them, that, you know, had power over them and their prosperity. And you know, because the ancient Sumerians, they didn't know algebra. You know, they didn't understand calculus. That didn't exist. Metallurgy barely existed. Agriculture barely existed. I mean, come on. If your life revolves around the sun going up and the sun going down, and whether or not your river's going to flood and destroy your town, and you don't have any of this scientific knowledge that we have today, guess what? You're going to think that there's some big bad God who really has it out for you.
Absolutely. I mean, you can even justify people believing the world is flat under those circumstances. It's just that now it's ridiculous. I see Dick Dawson wanted to jump in. I think it's your turn, mate.
Yeah, at the end of the clip we just watched there, the last thing he said was, wouldn't it make more sense? No, I'm sorry. Stop right there, Mr. Armchair Logic, motherfucker.
No,
it wouldn't make more sense. What would make more sense is if you got an absolute fucking clue and maybe a touch of education before you open your fucking shit flat mouth. That's what makes more sense.
Amen. Sing it. And the conspiracy buddy, what did you want to add?
No, I'm good. The button, I hit it on accident.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, might as well give some. Have you got any thoughts on the video so far, at least? General things.
The only thing I really got to say is a lot of this stuff was done through oral transitions and whatnot. So at some point, it's like that game of phone tag where you start off with a sentence and like 90 people later, different sentences.
Yeah.
It's, you know, oral traditions, they have a tendency to change as they're being spoken for generation to generation.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, even the written word changes. Look at the history of the Bible. You know, 66 collections of it's essentially there are sort of 100 or so random different bits of text and scholarship and letter that had been written that were loosely collected into one and were changed over the years, and the language is rewritten and all sorts of meanings were lost. I mean, even when you're writing it down, you can't prevent that happening. A few generations of retelling a story, and you can imagine all sorts about it has changed. DeadKennedyInSpace, you're a storyteller. Maybe you can add on this.
Well, yeah, first of all, why would ancient cultures tell stories? Because people tell stories. It's a thing. But hang on. I'm sorry. I did have a point, and now it's starting to kind of seep out of my brain. Yeah, I think I've lost it. Come back to me. I'm sorry.
Okay, and I'll come back to you in a minute, mate. Not a problem. And AB Science, I'm going to turn to you in a second, but I'd just like to hear from our guest, Blue Marble Science. I wonder if you have any thoughts on the video so far.
Yeah, listening to the very first part of it, I'm curious why this guy would think anyone would spend a lifetime trying to get things wrong. Why wouldn't I trust people who have studied archaeology all their life? I studied engineering. I didn't have time to study archaeology. I got to depend on somebody else.
Absolutely.
I don't see anything wrong with that. But yeah, in terms of people telling stories, hell yeah, they do. Any guy that's ever gone on a fishing trip or hunting trip with 3 other guys,
right.
That's exactly what happens around the campfire at the end of the night.
We've been doing it since before we had cities, I'm sure. So as soon as we could, make shapes with our hands and get a few basic language words out, we were telling tales. I guarantee it.
I guarantee it. It had to be. I mean, a lot of this stuff was just passed down that way, word of mouth. It wasn't written down. I mean, after all, they didn't have time to write. They were busy out trying to club tonight's meal to death with a rock.
Ain't that right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nice. Just a quick shout out to Unirock, who's just appeared into the chat. Hello, buddy. Nice to see you again. So it's great to see you in the chat. I'll probably be turning up at one of your shows in the near future as well. Great stuff.
Oh,
hello.
indeed.
Now, AB Science, you've been waiting so patiently. What did you want to add, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that there's just a few issues I have with the whole religion and science thing. I mean, we have to remember, as Logical Troglodyte referred to earlier, right? We didn't have a full understanding of the world, and if we don't, have a understand anything, then it's easy to apply some third party with agency that makes all these things do, and we see this in conspiracy theories as well, because it is easier to assert that there's a big shady day or there's a big God who wants everything to be that way and controls everything, because then there's a reason, and it's easier to deal with emotionally with someone wants it to be that way. My life is shit because of someone wanting it to be that, because it absolves you from any agency you have, and it makes it easier to understand the chaos that we see around us. But then there's also the other point, and there's an issue I have with the whole religion versus science things, that people saying that the whole scientific theory kind of rules out a god, and no, it doesn't rule out a creator at all. But it just rules out the particular creator as, explicitly described by the Bible, if you take the Bible as a literal text.
Indeed. There you go. But we're going to have to install your mind into one of those Google Home devices so I can take it home and ask it useful questions, man. Seriously, you are an absolute mine of information. DeadKennedyInSpace, you finally remembered what you were trying to say.
It did, yeah. It was in regards to what Logical said. You mentioned science only being about 2,400 years old. I think I might take issue with that, and I could very well be wrong, but I would argue, I mean, figuring out really basic things like agriculture or say like fire, is that not? Would you not consider that a really primitive, maybe when they called it natural philosophy type of science?
Well, I would say
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, AB.
Sorry, I would say that science has been around as long as humanity's around, and
Right.
actually, if we look at certain animal behaviors, well, you can kind of almost see it's like, hold on, this animal's looking at something. It's it's almost forming a hypothesis and then testing it. It's quite a natural process, but the issue is that as far as we can see, we are the best organisms, best suited for doing science, but we're still not very good at it. And it wasn't until we developed the scientific method where we just kind of started thinking about this abstractly, and it's like, maybe just this whole, oh sure, looks like it, so therefore it must be. It doesn't quite work.
So AB,
it was basically I think it was codifying was an important point, is that there was always this certain hit and miss trial approach to sort of our experimentation. My argument would be that what we think of as science is only very, very recent, a couple of 100 years at best, and that everything else up till then was essentially logical philosophy, including maths, because it was just trying to work out everything from base principles, which sounds fine until you actually start doing the science, and then you realize how much there is to find out about. Now, Kiri Mac, you've probably got something that you'd like to weigh in with in just a moment, but I'm going to go to Logical Troglodyte just to check if you had anything you wanted to add there.
Oh, certainly. And AB and Kevin, that's exactly why I prefaced my statement with science as we know it today, because you're absolutely right. Figuring out friction to create fire with two sticks, or knocking rocks together to nap flint, or whatever, that is a type of science, yes. So, but what I was referring to is that people, and like what these idiots on the History Channel are doing, is that they are conflating science as we know it today with ancient civilizations that had no concept of that.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Now, Kiri Mac, I'm going to get you to jump in because you've been waiting for quite a while, and then we'll go to Dead Kennedy once more.
No problem. Purple rhymes with orange makes the point that also, before TV, radio, and books, telling stories was the only entertainment they had. I wonder how many were campfire stories that the originator never expected anyone to take seriously.
Yeah, you do wonder, don't you? I mean, these things bubble out of almost nothing.
They do,
Amazing.
right?
Yeah.
So another thing
more?
with religion.
Oh yeah.
You got to remember, back ancient times, we still had the same questions. Why does the sun come up and stuff like that? But we had none of the answers. So when people were looking to their leaders to answers, they had to come up with something. It's much easier to come up with a story than to try and figure the shit out when you didn't have the technology to figure it out.
Yeah, indeed. You didn't even have a basic formalized version of thought and able to work out how to get there. They were working it all literally from first principles. Kiri Mac, did you have anything else?
And it also helps in your command structure. Your god that made your grain grow decided I should be in charge. You're not going to question that if you have no fucking clue.
Amen. Yeah, excellent point. Well, mate, great to hear from you as well. I know you disappeared for a little bit there. I hope I haven't been stepping on you for too long. Kiri Mac, do you have anything else you wanted to add there?
Well, Dark Knight Apologetics says that some of the earliest scientists were mostly Christians.
Well, there are still many scientists today in the physics department who, identify as Christian.
Right.
Indeed.
They're not mutually exclusive,
Quite.
It doesn't have to be quite so polarizing.
Yeah, I just spent a week working on a particle accelerator with one of the guys in my team was devout Christian, and his motivation behind his work is actually to try and understand more about God.
There you go.
See, in his mind, he's looking more into the eyes of God rather than away from it. It does astonish me there's such a disconnect between so many Christians on that point, because most seem to be perfectly happy to accept that God made everything, including all the cool science, but only a very limited number go, no, you've just got to read the one book and ignore everything you can sort of see, feel, taste, and experiment with. Logical Troglodyte, you look like you wanted to add something.
Yes, in regards to the whole campfire story thing, I have an idea that basically centers around psychology and physiology. We have to remember that the average lifespan back in the days this idiot on the History Channel was talking about was about 30-ish years old. And we know today that the frontal lobes are not fully developed in the human being until around 20 to 23 years old. And that is our logical reasoning centers. That's the part of the brain that controls that primordial fear based in the medulla of the brain. So basically, by today's standards, what we had back then was a group of undereducated children teaching other undereducated children, and it would stand to reason that they would use these stories in that way because that part of the brain just, they didn't live long enough for it to develop and learn in the way that we do today.
Absolutely. I think people do forget that. But of course, a lot of the time, people who have beliefs which sort of say that, oh no, humans were created pretty much as you see them. So the idea of the complex evolutionary history of our brain is a bit lost on them. Dick Dawson, looks like you wanted to jump in with something to say.
Yeah, Today UK has a great one. At the Shills, the Noath Stone in Ireland records the lunar cycle from 5,000 years ago, shows 29.5-day cycle and new moon and full cycle. So they told stories back then, but they also had facts like us too. Really
There
good
you
comment.
go. That is really good, actually. Excellent. Right, look, I think we're going to hit play and get 2 or 3 more minutes of video on. It's not a very long one, but I want to get through some of it before we have to go.
When we look at elongation of the skull, which evidence of is widely accepted across the world, we must consider that these beings that these skulls belong to were actually the Anunnaki, as depicted in ancient texts in depth. These elongated skulls belong to a group of beings that are no longer of this earth. No one knows when they came here, no one knows what they are. One thing is for sure though, they did not evolve on this.
That's bullshit.
Go ahead, I had Jutmonk. Go on, man.
Yeah. Didn't they used to bind their heads? Isn't that
They
how
still do.
Like whoever did that, they used to, from when they were young, they used to bind, like they put the rings on their necks. They used to bind their heads, didn't they, with like I think maybe leather or something to from when they were young to create that shape.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like a number of different body-altering techniques from over the years. There are certain African tribes, women who put rings around their neck, and they keep adding them year on year to lengthen their neck.
Yeah.
There are sort of all
Exactly
sorts of plate. It's just the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. You know, they're not fucking aliens, for fuck's sake.
Ha! Now, look, it looks like one way or another I've managed to miss a point by DeadKennedyInSpace. And he said, oh, it's long past relevant now, possibly. But I just wanted to check in with him to make sure it wasn't still possible for him to say something.
I don't know. AB was talking about how like the difference between modern science and primitive science, and how once we develop these kind of abstract frameworks for it, like mathematics, the experiments and the results started to get a lot more precise. So are you saying that things like math, even though they're not reality, really do help us understand reality?
There you
Absolutely,
go.
because there is a very important point, and I think that separates the difference between kind of the natural science that we do as humans just on our day-to-day lives, and then actually a formalized system. It's not necessarily about stringently forming a hypothesis and testing it. Actually, the biggest development has been in the analysis process and actually testing your hypothesis. So you take your results from your data and see how well that matches up with your hypothesis, and definitely there is very formal mathematical procedure that you perform there.
Well, there you go. Brilliant. I'm glad we jumped back in for that then. Now, has anyone got anything they'd like to jump in with, or shall we hit play again? Give me a...
I'm just imagining everything AB said just going straight into Shite Shovel's ear and out the other.
Do you think I'd sink straight over the top of his head completely? Why bother going through the ears? Like water from a duck's ass. Right, in that case, Tatty Vogel, would you mind hitting the big red button for us once again?
Reminds us of the Sumerian text describing the Anunnaki as those who from heaven came. Consider this: the Book of Enoch was an ancient manuscript found in caves in Ethiopia, mostly written in a language called Ge'ez, but some texts also in Aramaic, Greek, and Latin. The text relates an ancient pre-flood story that entails 200 watchers, or angels, that make a pact among themselves. This pact involves taking for themselves the most desirable women of the earth and mating with them. It also involves using the secrets of heaven and teaching mankind these secrets that were never to be known to man. These watchers had leaders of 10, and council leaders. The most important of the watchers had names that were recorded by Enoch. Simjaza was their leader, and he gathered the watchers together on Mount Hermon, an ancient place of gathering, where they formulated their plan and swore to it. The 200 Watchers descended upon mankind and cohabitated with the women of the earth, whom bore them giants, Nephilim in the Bible, giants of tremendous size. These giants ate all the produce of man, then turned on mankind itself and devoured man and animals alike. The Watchers not only bred with the women of mankind, but also bred with animals. They produced what Enoch calls monsters. The greatest of these monsters was named Leviathan. Mankind and animals alike are not able to interbreed between species because our DNA is so dissimilar. But apparently the Watcher's DNA was able to breed with numerous species, some completely different genetically. In Sumerian art, there's often depictions of a half-man.
Not having that. Genetically, how the hell do they claim to fucking know that? Did someone go back with a test tube? That's bollocks. But sorry, Sarcastic Barman, looks like you've got something you wanted to add.
Oh, fuck my life. So this guy's proof for big heads, aliens, and everything like that is on this book that we found from thousands of years ago when people had no TV or sci-fi channel. They made up this story, and now it must be fact because someone bothered to write it down. I can draw a picture of me with a giant 15-foot cock. It doesn't mean I fucking got one. Just because it's written down does not mean it's fucking real.
Yeah, but
what is wrong with these fucking people? Everyone knows my cock's 30 foot long.
Mate, honestly, they're just dumb as fuck. I mean, I have just seen regular documentaries on regular television about them skulls and how they fucking bind them in different cultures, do different things. Christ.
Yep.
You know,
it's so funny.
Are they just making this shit up for?
Yeah, and they're looking at a picture. They're looking at a picture and they're going, "Oh wow, that's so crazy. I can't possibly imagine that." Well, that's because you've been in your mother's basement for 30 years, stroking off and smoking pot. Now, if you fucking learned something about the world, you would realize this is not amazing at all. People have been doing this for a while. Like, holy shit, man.
Like thousands of years, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Like, holy God, man. Get your head out of your ass and learn something about their surroundings you're in.
Yeah,
Well,
no
I think
kidding. Go outside.
They really are.
Yeah, man. Now, look, I'm going to take a moment here to just cut over to our producer, Tatty Vogel, and I want to see how far through the video we are and approximately how much is left. Tatty, what's the runtime, buddy?
The runtime on the video is approximately 10 minutes. I reckon we've probably got about 7.5, 8 minutes to go.
Oh, wow. I don't think we're going to push through all of that. Dear Lord. I tell you what we'll do. We'll put another 60 to 90 seconds on until someone just can't stand it anymore. And then we'll go around the table, have a few last comments about the show and say goodbye for the day. How's that sound?
A great idea.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. All right, Tatty, let's hit play.
And also the famous Minotaur of Greece is similar in content. Could these be the results of monsters named in the Book of Enoch? The names of the leaders of the 200 Watchers, notice the similarity to the 300 Anunnaki in the Sumerian texts that came down to Earth to administer the fate of man, are listed in the Book of Enoch. Denel, Terrell, Ramel are a few, and most of their names end in El, which means God. El was the ancient god of the land of Canaan. The most famous of a council to the 200 was Azazel. His name would mean God of hardening or God of strengthening. Azazel brought to earth the secret art of strengthening or the hardening of metal to make implements of war. This allowed mankind to make war on each other and bring destruction upon the earth. In chapter 8 of the Book of Enoch it states, "And Azazel taught men..."
I think we're done. We've had enough.
Stop playing that fucking video. It is absolute fucking toilet. He is just reading shit now, and he doesn't even know why he's fucking reading it. He's trying to make sense of something in his little fairy tale, fantasy, fucking weird, warped, fucked up world. I don't know what the fuck's going on in his head, but he needs to fucking just pack it in. I don't want to see anymore. I'm sure the audience don't want to see anymore. It is fucking bollocks.
Absolutely. Right. Well, look, I've got a whole list of people here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the two on the list who've just buzzed in, and then I'm going to go around the rest of the table. But I'm going to frame it slightly different than usual. So, Dead Kennedy in Space. We've pretty much reached the end of the show. What's your thought? What are your final thoughts? And have you got any last bits of shilling that you'd like to do for the audience before we say goodbye?
I mean, I really lost interest when he started like pulling pics from DeviantArt of like a ripped dude with wings. That
Right.
last picture was hilarious.
Oh,
It was
man.
hysterical. And like I lost all interest in what he was saying, and I was just like looking at that picture and just going, "That's so fucking stupid."
Oh,
But
man. It's amazing. It's like some fan art for a Twilight book or something. It was just genius.
Yes.
Where are we? What happened?
It's very young adult novel cover.
Oh yeah, right.
No, thank you. So I've had enough of ridiculous mythology. It's fun and interesting, but let's not talk about it like it's fact.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that's your thoughts on the video for today. Have you got any final thoughts you've got in general? Have you got, like, last bit of shilling you'd like to do, or some producer, some content maker that you've got that you'd like to remind people exists, get them to go over and shill?
Well, like I said at the beginning, I'd like to thank everyone for getting me to 3K, and I will be planning some kind of celebration for that soon, so keep your eyes out. Definitely always going to be more videos, more collaborations. As far as shilling someone, Burt Rickles. Burt Rickles needs more subs. Go subscribe to Burt Rickles.
Yeah, go subscribe to Burt Rickles. Absolutely. All right, thank you very much indeed, DeadKennedyInSpace. Next up, it's the Sarcastic Barman. See, I remembered your name. I just
Yay, you
didn't
got my
say it
name
this
right.
time.
That guy is fucking useless. At 1 minute there was 200 of these 200 Watcher Nephilim angel fucking alien fuckers. Then there was 300 of them. And then just for fuck's sake, pick a number. And then the fucking Minotaur was like, fuck's sake. So the aliens are coming down, shagging cows, and then making Minotaurs. Okay, yeah. Can you understand why this story's fucking ridiculous?
Sounds legit.
He's had too
That's
much
brilliant.
rum. Fuck's sake.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much indeed for that. Have you got any final bits of shilling that you'd like to do?
Oh, I'm going to show myself slightly because I'm 17 subs away from 500, and it would be nice to hit 500 subs. I'd be over the moon, so that would be quite nice. So it snuck up nicely over the last few days, so that's good. But I also want to shill someone else, a channel that I found the other day that they posted in our Shills room. Bubble Buster. I watched his vaccine video. I find him really fucking amusing. So yeah, go and check him out. He's
just
well worth
subbed
the
me
view.
actually.
Has he? Oh,
Has he
awesome.
indeed? Oh, that's brilliant.
I stuck him on the list to get his videos auto posted, but yeah, he was really good.
He engaged Shite Shovel on my channel.
Oh, did he? Awesome.
Mate. Right, now let's see, who else have we got? Let's see, Kiri Mac, have we got any final comments or questions you'd like to raise? And have you got any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
We have a comment from Casual Spaceman who says, "Evil fucking Lucian, you total spunk trumpet." And that's aimed at the creator of that video.
Nice.
I fucking love Spunk Trumpet. That is blinding. My actual
That's a great one.
videos. I tell you what,
It's a
Shite
good one,
Shovel,
right?
you fucking Spunk Trumpet. Stick that up your jacksy.
Nice.
John Rapp.
All right, Kiri, any
said-
final comments? Yeah, go
John
on.
Rapp just said, "How smart are aliens? They seem to only go for the black hole." Amazing.
You really are not supposed to work.
Sorry, guys. You should know that by now.
No, we were prepared. Right, any final comments or questions?
One more from Cruising with Jay. This is about all flurfs. That shirt is purple. Everyone else? No, it's red. Flurf, I see that, but it goes against my belief, so it's purple.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
neatly put as ever. Brilliant. All right, well, if you've got any final shilling you'd like to do, Kiri, anything you've seen that you want people to see yourselves?
Ah, gosh, I've seen so much this week. You know what? I've gone blank. I think Burt Rickles.
Burt
for
Rickles
sure.
sounds
Burt
good then to
Rickles,
me.
yeah. I've just
Burt
subbed
Rickles.
myself, and I've subbed the Shills to him too. So I
There
will
you
get
go.
his link ready and put it in the chat again. Everybody's loving
Epic. All right.
Brickles at the moment.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much indeed. Now, steaming cup of reason. Have you got any final thoughts on the videos for the day? And any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Oh, Dummel, the god of stupid. I was just waiting for that video to start turning into Clash of the Titans. I mean, wow, what stupidity! I've never seen it. Yeah. As far as what's coming up, I'd just like to reiterate, Logical and I, we are diligently working on the next phase of Logic and Reason, and that's about all I've got to show. So,
nice.
Thank you.
Fair enough. Well, look, that's an epic amount of stuff to go and look at there. Listen, everyone in the chat, I know I say this constantly to you, but you should check out our links in the description. You should listen to the people we have on and go and check them out. There's some amazing content out there, and we love bringing it to you. Let's see. Next on the list, I'm going to... DeadKennedyInSpace. Just like maybe you have a final comment you'd like to read out.
Well, yeah, just something I was thinking of because Sarcastic Barman was talking about, like, you know, aliens came down and had sex with cows, and we're supposed to believe that this is a real story and everything. Well, just remember, there was a time when men were men and sheep were scared.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. All right, well, look, I want to get a final thought from Anti-Flatter, if possible. Are you still out there, bro?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate. Sitting there trying to
Lovely
pike up between laughing at everything. I was thinking, is it about 300 years or so, in whatever future's version of YouTube, there's going to be someone creating a video saying there's proof of aliens because this alien came to Earth from a planet called Krypton, and he was a superhero that saved all his lives. That's literally what they're doing.
Oh, it's amazing. Yes, absolutely. I hope they do. I hope they're like, well, look, they obviously existed because there's loads of historical documents. They made documentaries about him. They wrote books. They drew pictures. That would be fucking fantastic. Right, look, I want to turn to our producer very quickly because we don't hear from him very often because he's so busy pulling those levers. I just wondered if you had any thoughts on what we've seen today and any bit of shillings you wanted to do yourself.
To be honest, my brain is absolute mush after all that bullshit we've just fucking waded through, man, I tell you. Oh, my God, I'm going to need a bottle of whiskey after this. As for shillings, what can I say? If you're not subscribed to any of the panel or indeed any of our guests, get that sorted fucking quick, smart, you bastards, otherwise I'll need to come around and fucking have it out with you. Other than that,
brilliant. You heard the man. Absolutely.
I love it.
All right.
Tell you, man. Other than
Thank
that,
you very much
no,
indeed, Tatty
get it on,
Vogel.
man.
Well, look, we're going to go to Dick Dawson last of all because he's the master of ceremonies, obviously. But that leaves me with our two guests of the day. I'm going to turn to End the Conspiracy first. What did you think of the show? We're really glad to have you here, by the way. Thank you very much for coming along again. You're always a lot of fun. I hope you got a chance to say at least some of what you wanted. What did you think of the show? And have you got any shilling that you'd like to do before we say goodbye?
Well, I always enjoy coming on. You guys are lots of fun. It's just some great bunch of guys here.
Thanks,
my
man.
thought
We
on
love
that
having
last
you on.
video was just I was waiting for Nibiru and Nephilim to pop in there too, just round the whole thing out. But other than what I said earlier, make sure you keep an eye out on Truth Is Not a Hoax.
There's
really going to be some really important videos. Like I said, I got my Oklahoma City bombing one coming up here shortly, and then my next one, I think I'm going to do Sandy Hook. So I think that'll be my next set.
One. I look forward to that. That'd be really interesting. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much indeed for coming again on the show. I'm sure we'll have you on again. You're a great mate, and we enjoy having you here. And you've got a lot of fun stuff. And I think at one point we wanted to have maybe Dwarven Hammer sort of pop in and say something. I won't push you to drag him out now, but
inflate his ego.
Well, you know, he's a cool guy.
Love it.
Epic. All right.
Did
Well,
we
thanks
lose
very
Jim?
much.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, no, I'm back. Sorry, little moment. Now, that leaves Blue Marble Science. Hello, mate. No, I know it's a bit boisterous in here and it's hard to get a word in edgeways. Did you manage to get everything you wanted to across, or have you got any final thoughts for us now?
Oh, I'll give you a few final thoughts. I really want to thank you guys for inviting me. I had a great time. I love the show. It's terrific.
Oh, mate.
But in
Thank you so much.
in terms of the this last window licking nitwit we were listening to, I have to point out that if he would take a moment and think about this, what he's managed to prove is that the ancients actually had a taste for fiction novels just like we do. and that's basically what he's looking at.
Right? It's
ancient
amazing.
Fiction. It's ancient fiction. That's all the fuck it is, fellas. No more than that. So
It blows my mind they don't get it. You're absolutely
yes.
right. Sorry, go on.
But with that again, thanks so much for having me on. You guys check the channel out from time to time. I'm sure I'll be putting out a few more videos, and if I'll just stay off the damn flat Earth channels, I'll probably get a lot of videos done.
Well, I love watching your
Brilliant.
videos because to me, when I listen to you, have that kind of relaxing Sunday afternoon voice about a little bit like, say, Sir David Attenborough. That's what your voice does to me, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is a beautiful voice for what we do.
Yeah.
That is just like
Just like,
rumbling
just
baritone
chill.
that comes across.
Indeed.
Indeed, Dick Dawson. I mean, look, I expect you're trying to make you sound extra bassy because up till now you've had the chocolate voice of the show, right?
Yeah, no, I can't compete there. Absolutely not. I just sound like a real schmuck used car salesman beside this guy, man.
Oh man,
the pair of you, right?
I love your
Imagine
voice.
these two doing like a trailer for a movie, right? Both of them together, or like presenting a show. It'd be amazing. You'd blow the speakers out, but it'd be fucking fantastic.
That's not a bad idea.
Right, a little bit of a collab there, something short and sweet.
Yeah,
Nice.
hey Blue, maybe we'll get together and do a little like 2 or 3 minute video segment where we do like a Hollywood Flurf intro spoof or something. That could be fun.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Let's
get in touch after and we'll script that out because I bet we could bang through that pretty simple. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, nothing to it.
All
Man,
right.
you know when the magic
Cool.
happens on air. That's brilliant. All right, thank you very much. Now, once again, thanks very much, Blue Marble Science, for joining us. You were an absolutely brilliant guest. Had some fantastic comment for us. I'm sure you're more than welcome to come back on any time you want as well. So whenever you're free, give us a DM, and I'm sure we'll find a space on the panel for you. Don't forget, everyone in the audience, you've got to get over to End the Conspiracy channel. You've got to get over to Blue Marble Science's channel if you're not already. They are both producing. Firstly, they're both funny in two completely different ways. Secondly, they both bring you really informative stuff in two completely different ways. I mean, like the rest of the community, you're getting this fun and facts in good measure, but it's always in like a variety of brilliant perspectives and from different voices. And once again, I think we've had two amazing guests on the show. Now, that leaves me only one thing to do. I've got to hand back over to Mr. Dick Dawson, who's going to give us his final thoughts on the day, do any last bits of shilling he wants to, and then lead us out.
Well, people, let's face it, YouTube is for fun and not a formal education, so please use it accordingly. Now, when it comes to conspiracies, you gotta use this simple test. If the person talking cannot give you the correct answer to this simple question, what is 12 times 12? Walk away, as you have nothing but a headache coming. And it's coming fast. Lastly, flat Earth is a disease. You've got to take precautions and protect yourself. Get inoculated. Get down to a fucking library and read a book. It could save your life. That's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. We're the Shills. That was Blue Marble Science and the Conspiracy, and one hell of a good time. What's left to say? Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Catch you on the flip side.
Mwah.